Can you hear me, Petey? Hi, flies. Can everyone hear me? You hear music? Okay. But you can't see the screen. Give me just a couple of seconds. Let me create a banner here real quick. Oh, well, it's giving me a swirly on my end. Okay. All right. Well, I've put a banner up. Please, I'm asking anyone and everyone coming into chat, please be careful in sharing your personal information and your personal experiences. There's a lot of us creators and their subs have been targeted by other individuals for malicious intent. It's called DOXING, and they will try to acquire your personal information, and it being the holiday season, it makes us very, very susceptible to identity theft and other malicious activities that these horrible monsters tend to try to do, and some of them have been successful in doing this. All right, so I'm going to stop my screen. Kill the music. All right. Well, I tried going live earlier. The rain's knocked out my signal. But a lot of stuff's been going on, like it always is. We've got creatures coming out of the Black Lagoon again. There's been a lot of new updates on our missing and murdered. And there's been a lot of new information circulating that people have claimed to be withholding information in missing persons cases. Anyway, I'm not going to mention any names. Well, I don't want to lie to you. I might mention a few names, but I'm going to be cautious about how to do that. So, everyone, I went live the other day testing out some sound equipment, and I asked how everybody's holiday weekend went. And, of course, anybody that knows me knows that I am addicted to my devices. My New Year's resolution, if y'all believe in New Year's resolutions, is to try and refrain for being on my computer or being on my phone so much. I've got to work on that. But I like doing research. I'm not so much, I like the drama too. I ain't gonna lie about that. But I'm always researching something. I'm always digging into something that I feel that may benefit someone else and advocating for them. Now, a lot of these little twisted minds on these YouTube streets has got this messed up. You can advocate for anything you want to advocate for. If you truly believe in something and you're willing to stand ground with someone, stand behind them, stand beside them, hold them up, carry them. If you believe in something that strong, do it. Do whatever you can, but be educated and informed. No, assess everything. I know that sounds like second guessing, but in today's society, it pays to know who and what you're dealing with. There's a lot of people that are going around saying, oh, I would never do that to help somebody, or I just can't afford to do that. Or, you know, the only cost associated with helping somebody or being supportive of another is time. And let me acknowledge my subs coming in. Night Owl, Flies, Carol. I seen Petey. I seen, who have I missed? There's that heifer. Genevieve. I wonder who that heifer is. But anyway, I'm just being silly. Thank y'all for coming in here. I'm going to drop a StreamYard link, but I'm going to kind of cover a couple of things. So, with me enjoying researching so much, put a silly emoji in the chat if you know what a palindrome is. Come on. Don't be Googling it just off the top of your head. Palindrome. No, it's not some kind of aircraft that you control with a cell phone. Well, thank you, Carol. I did enjoy myself the other day. We had a ball. Okay. So let's count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay. A palindrome is a word that when you spell it out, it can be read backwards or forwards. Like the word never. Of course, we know what the word never means. But when you turn it around, it means REVEN. REVEN. It's what REVEN. And never means at no time, in the past, future, on no occasion, not ever, not at all, never. When REVEN, never spelled backwards, is the intent to steal or rob, to secretly loot, to grab, to take or confiscate with force or violence, to lose an ability or knowledge. Yep, kind of like that word, not owl. But in applying my palindrome to what I wanted to talk about today was, if you go to my community tab, I've been posting a few things on my community tab. And one of the things that I posted the other day was about doxing. When people dox you or try to dox you, they're taking away from your integrity. They're stealing information. They're stealing information that if it's not about me, it could possibly be about somebody else with a similar name, birth date, any of that. So when these people come in here and they try to identify you, and then they use that information with malicious intent. And malicious intent means they're going to use that information for identity theft, to harass you, to stalk you, to tear you down, to damage your reputation. That's malicious intent. It's defaming, and in some cases, it's demoralizing. Doxing is illegal. It can be considered a crime for multiple reasons. I pulled some information from a website from felonies.org. Now, felonies.org is a wonderful resource for general information, and I'll put that in here. So there's a lot of things that people do, but doxing is illegal, and it is covered under our United States Code annotated that provides us statutes, codes, and laws and acts in application to a crime. But there is no federal law that makes what is considered doxing explicitly illegal, but under 18 U.S. Code 2261 Part A, it plainly states that under this code, that's what makes it illegal and makes it a crime. And you can be charged with a federal crime. It could fall under a state level code of criminal impersonation, identity theft. And when you get on social media platforms, if these malicious attempts and crimes of doxing are committed within the state boundary lines, that's a state level offense. But if you've got multiple people out here doing this in other states, then it falls under a federal line. And then that's when it becomes a federal offense. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I study a lot of laws, a lot of codes, a lot of statutes, but I cannot give you legal advice, but I can share with you resources to help you better understand where you may or may not stand if you happen to find yourself being victimized on this level. When you dox someone maliciously, malicious intent is with the intent to kill, to injure, harass, intimidate, or place under surveillance with intent to kill, injure, harass, or intimidate another person. They use mails, the mail system, email, interactive computer or electronic communication services, electronic communication systems of interstate commerce, or any other facility of interstate or foreign commerce to engage in a course of conduct that places a person in reasonable fear of the death or serious bodily injury to a person, a pet, service animal, or an emotional support animal, or a horse, described in 5 different clauses of the statute. Part B states that if one attempts to cause, or would be reasonably expected to cause substantial emotional distress to a person described in any of these clauses, shall be punished as provided in Section 2216 Part B of this title. And while doxing may not I'm tongue-tied there on that one. While doxing may not explicitly be a crime of its own, it often leads to a crime being committed. Okay, so the umbrella of doxing is the raindrops of crime that falls from it. Few weeks back, I did a program on cyberbullying and stalking, gang stalking. And a lot of these same crimes fall under those different parameters. So yes, doxing is illegal, especially if it's out to just cause. I mean, if you start losing work, if you start getting sick, if you start having to get medical care, if someone intentionally harms you, or worse, you start harming yourself, you know, that's crime. I mean, there's laws on this. And I'm sharing this information so that you know how to respond to it. I'm getting very frustrated with a lot of our local law enforcement because I feel like they're not trained properly in responding to this. They don't want to look at the actual crime being committed because they want to classify anything to do with a human's emotions or a human's integrity or character as a civil matter. That's one of my biggest peeves with today's law enforcement. They're trying to push policies and respond in a certain way. So it's up to us to make sure that we report these incidences correctly, accurately, and truthfully. Write it down. Draft an affidavit. You can take it and file it. And if you can show proof that because of another person's actions of doxing has caused you harm, and you can file charges against them. And there's ways to do it, and to do it the right way. But right now, there's currently no federal law against doxing. The penalties would be tied to the individual crimes being committed. If a person is not targeted by law enforcement, that does not mean that that person is in the clear. The victim of doxing always has the option of filing a lawsuit in civil court. Yes, you can do this. But if harm or injury has occurred, that goes to criminal court. The problem in these cases, though, is finding a perpetrator. Now, if you can identify the perpetrator and you can provide enough information requested to secure an arrest warrant, that is the key. What is unfortunate is we've got a lot of these people that are on the internet and in these chat rooms and on these channels. Am I back? Can you hear me now? Let me know something. So anyway, get back to that. You got to be able to provide service on an individual if you're going to charge someone with a crime. Or you can't stalk and harass them. But if you're the victim of a crime, you have the right to obtain correct information. Big difference. And okay, so the problem in most of these civil cases is actually finding the perpetrators, like to talk about. But when you dox a publicly elected figure, however, it becomes much easier to be prosecuted for a crime. Now, what defines a publicly elected figure? Any position where a group of people has elected and voted for another individual to obtain a position that is governed or monitored under the legislative branch of governments, which means local, state, and federal. I'm going to share this with this one particular incident. It states, formerly a Democratic congressional staffer, Jackson Costco, hacked into several Senate computers and doxed three doxed 3 lawmakers for their role in the confirmation hearings for the U.S. Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Costco first released the personal information of former Utah Senator Orrin Hatch, Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, and Mike Lee, Republican of Utah. He later released the personal information of Kentucky Senators Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul. Costco was sentenced to 4 years in jail for his crimes. See, there's a dynamic there. Because when you put someone in a position to advocate, and yes, our elected officials are there to advocate for the general public and members of communities and counties and states. And you try to tear someone down in the manner that a lot of people that we've witnessed be tore down, that's a crime. It doesn't mean that they have immunity. They're just stupid. I mean, if you can acquire personal information. You can build a dossier on elected officials, but you don't use that information with malicious intent. Now, if one of my elected officials does something that is of great concern or possibly criminal, and I start looking into some of the things that they're doing or some of the things that have been made public, once it's public, it's public. But if I start trying to hack into their bank accounts and I start trying to get into their children's school records, oh, hell to the no. That ain't my cup of tea. That's on them. They want to tell me how much is in their bank account. When it comes out of their mouth, that's public information. But when you maliciously try to withdraw personal information, that's a crime. So, then we've got a bunch of false information floating around here. Let's talk about false information for a minute. Does anybody want to come up and talk with me? Because I can put the link in chat. Let me just go ahead and put the link in chat. Because this mess that I've been seeing and reading has just gotten way out of hand. And these I'm sorry, but a lot of us are not handling this the proper way. But I was reading an article that is dated from 2008 that was posted by HLS News staff. And the name of the article says, "Spread of false information causes dangers," says Sunstein. Well, Sunstein is he is a professor at Harvard Law School. So the article starts off that the spread of false information and rumors poses growing risk to society and the economy. Okay, I'm going to stop there. We can see where all this false identification, where all this doxing, where all of this hacking has absolutely caused a big problem. This has caused a breakdown with people coming in to the social media platforms to learn, to support, to be supported, for entertainment. I mean, everything that the majority of us creators share on these platforms is done under the Fair Use Act because that information is public. It's at our fingertips. Whether you want to believe it or not is on the individual acquiring the information. If you want to participate into something, that's your free will. That's your right. If you want to talk smack about somebody, that's your right. But don't go making up crap. Now, if you're being silly and being funny and you don't know one way or the other, nor do you want to know, you're just having fun with it, that's everybody, somebody somewhere is going to get their feelings hurt. I don't care who you are, or what you're doing, or where you're at. Somebody somewhere is going to get their feelings hurt. And if you're that sensitive to something, don't subject yourself to it. In this article, it goes on that stating that the spread of false information and rumors poses growing risk to society and the economy. That was the message delivered by Harvard Law School professor Cos Sustein, Sunstein, in 1978 in a major lecture titled, quote, "He said that? She did what?" on false rumors and free speech. Marking his appointment as the Felix Frankfurter, okay, I'm sorry, I got to giggle on this one. Felix Frankfurter Professor of Law at Harvard Law School. That's hard to say. So, introducing Sunstein before the talk, Dean Elena Kagan described him as, quote, "the world's preeminent legal scholar," end quote, who, quote, "challenges our assumptions and changes the way we think about legal issues," suggesting that Frankfurter was a forebear of what she called Sunsteinian minimalism. Keegan noted that the justice, who was sometimes accused of being too leftist, brought to the Supreme Court a strong belief in judicial restraint. He believed more in the institutions of democracy than in the courts. He also insisted on respect for federalism for the decision of state governments. In his opening lecture, Sunstein declared that one of his goals was to drive a wedge between the marketplace of ideas and truth. Identifying truth, specifically with factual accuracy, he outlined 3 mechanisms by which false rumors gain traction in that marketplace and become widely held beliefs. Okay, so we've seen this already. We've seen this already with fundraising. We've seen this with playing with people's empathies, compassions. We see this all the time. And somebody else must be live because I've lost viewers, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going because I feel like this is important. A bias to simulation. Okay, the first of these mechanisms he termed biased assimilation. Belief formation is a motivated process, said Sunstein, and when an individual is presented with a statement of unknown accuracy, he or she will respond to it with preconceived notions of what is correct. If the statement is in agreement with the individual's bias, the individual finds validation and then holds the belief even more strongly. Well, y'all see where the rumor patrol is going around? I mean, you've got false statements being handed out left and right. I'm going to say this. People don't know their asses from a hole in the ground. So they start digging more holes and more holes and more holes and more holes. You know what? There's going to be so many holes, there ain't going to be enough backfill to fill them back in, trying to sort out the crap. Stick with fact. And if you don't have enough to support fact, hold on to what you got. Because with patience comes answers. Nobody gets instant justice. They don't get instant justice for their thoughts. They don't get instant justice for their actions. They don't get instant justice in search. They don't get instant justice in rescue. It's all a waiting game. It's all a process. And it's heartbreaking and it's challenging. But that's just how it is. And I hate saying that, but that's exactly how it is. If you go out here and you commit a crime, or you get accused of committing a crime, and there is an arrest made, and you get your butt voted the pokey, you know, you're very fortunate if you got somebody saying, all right, it's still a waiting game. You're still going to have to wait for the paperwork to be filled out. You're still going to have to wait for somebody to shell out the money. You're still going to have to wait for that phone call. You're still going to have to wait for that court date to prove your innocence. You're still going to have to wait. It's all a waiting game. I don't care how many false statements are made. It's up to you yourself to protect your integrity. It's up to you yourself to be educated enough to know your rights and know how to stand your rights without making an ass of yourself. Going back to this, if a statement disagrees with what he or she already believes to be true, studies have shown that generally the one person will not change anybody else's opinion, but rather will still find validation in their own beliefs, rejecting statements as questionable from one rationalization or another. We deal with this every day. We're watching the news. We're watching YouTube channels. You've got this one saying that. You got this one over here doing this. You've got this one accusing of that one doing that. There's got 15 over here calling out other criminals. You've got, you know, it's like being thrown into a piranha pit. All the water is murky with blood and mud. There's no reason for that. There's no reason for any of that. You can stay centralized and play a huge part in helping solve a crime. You don't have to bounce here to yonder. You don't have to cash out for everything. You don't have to lie on another creator. And if you say something or do something, just back it up. Put that backup beeper on and back it up. But we already know that some of these people you just can't pacify. You can't pacify them with the truth. It's like the more truth you throw out there to them to defend yourself, the more they chew you up and spit you out trying to find more about you. Just be careful with your personal information. Don't put it out there. And if you do put it out there, yeah, I did that. I don't remember saying it that way, but I do remember saying this. Just be careful. What supports your prior convictions will be new and fresh and have credibility. And what goes the other way will seem preposterous and easily dismissed. So once a false rumor has thus been accepted, a correction then becomes difficult to accept. The first reaction that Sunstein said was, he says, ask yourself this. Why is my belief being denied? Okay, I get it. Just like I said, they're out there, they're peeling chunks of your integrity away from you, and they're tearing you down on purpose. They want you sucked dry. And they will. They will chew you up, spit you out, and drain you dry. They're succubus. The very denial of the false rumor focuses people's attention on it. And the focus of their attention tends to leave a kind of cognitive echo in the mind, thinking, it's probably so. If I hear the word sympathizer, The word sympathizer almost enrages me. You can give everyone around you the opportunity to be a friend or confident associate. You can even go on to feel as though they are part of your extended family. But if somebody tells a falsehood on you, I don't care who you are, it's going to hurt. It's going to cut down to the core. And if somebody brings up something out of your past, it cuts you to the core, especially if you're doing your damnedest to overcome it. You know, there's a lot of people that have screwed up. They've made some horrible mistakes in their life. And all they're seeking is an opportunity to make amends from their wrongdoings, to do something right for others. But you got these people out here, oh, you shouldn't give them a chance. Oh, you shouldn't communicate with them. Oh, you shouldn't go over in their chat rooms. They did this, they did that. Hey, if they've not done anything directly to me, I have to turn it over to God. And I've ranted, and I've backbit, and I've raised all kinds of hell, and I have cried, and I have screamed, I have pitched a fit, I have talked other people's ears off, bitching and griping and growling about what I have seen, witnessed, or heard somebody say about me. But that's when you have that close unit of people that you can confide and depend upon. You don't have to put all that on YouTube. You don't have to put all that on Facebook. You don't have to put all that on Twitter or TikTok. Find you a support group you're comfortable with. I feel pretty confident in my little group, and I don't give two shits what they've ever done in their past. They're being good to me now, and I'm going to return the favor to the best of my ability. And that's how I expect to be treated, and that's how I feel like I try to treat everybody else. But you got a few loose nuts floating around out there that it's just fun to make fun of them. It's not right, but it's fun. I've prayed for them. I've sang to them. We've had a couple of good laughs in the past. We've had a few shouting matches in the past. Don't mean I don't care about their well-being. They're going to have to stand for what they're doing. Just like if I ever do anything wrong, and I've done my share wrong, but I ain't going to share it on here. But I'm trying to make amends for it one way or another, and I'm trying to do it in God's favor. We're human beings. We're not microchipped to be controlled by another human body or by a device. We're human beings. If you want to know something about me, all you gotta do is find me. All you gotta do is look me up. All you gotta do is you can reach out to just about anybody in chat. Any of these chats with our groups that we go and we try to be supportive of others in. There's enough of people from YouTube that has my contact information. If you want to have a heart-to-heart, I'll take time to have a heart-to-heart with you. I don't have to like you not to love you. But my kind of love is a different kind of love. I love you for what you can be. I love you for what I would like to see you be. And I love you for how you respond to others. You don't have to be mean. It's fun, but you don't have to be. Oh, and I've got a couple of them. I like going into chat and picking and playing and having fun with it. But if they start talking a bunch of dangerous nonsense, it's like I put the brakes on real quick. If I see somebody is going down that slippery slope and they're going down a little too fast, it's like I've got an imaginary pair of brakes that I'm throwing out to them. Like, you better slow your roll there, bub. You've got these cascades of information floating out here. And once that rumor gets started and people start believing it, and then you start believing some of the stuff yourself, and then you start second guessing yourself, creates a cascade. And he called the second mechanism of this false information breakdown, he called it an informational cascade, to where he said it was the process by which awareness of the aggregate opinions and beliefs of others can largely control an individual's taste and belief formation. Through this process, he went on to explain that early adopters can have an undue influence over the public's general acceptance or rejection of a statement or fact. He went on to say that on 8 of the 9 websites that he went on to do his experiment, that users were able to see the download preferences of the previous users in the worlds created those who were running the test. Overwhelmingly, usage patterns of users aligned with the preferences of the previous users, and indeed, the users' musical taste were overwhelmingly shaped by the opinions with which they happened to be presented. In cases of political belief formation, Sunstein said that the emotional resonance of the first mechanism can help to jumpstart these cascades, with the viewpoints of others then overriding that which one might otherwise choose to believe on his own or his or her own. Thus, many citizens opposed to the presidency of Barack Obama were prone to falsely believing that he was a Muslim, while many of his supporters were open to the mistaken idea that Sarah Palin would think that the continent of Africa was a country. We see this everywhere. I mean, I'm not calling any names, but there's a few of you right here with me right now, and a few of you that are watching incognito and behind the scenes and probably will later watch this. We're seeing it right now. Because they don't want to understand and they don't want to know. They make their own assumptions. They don't do the research and they roll with it. And then they wonder, well, why are they picking on me? Why are they stalking me? Why are they harassing me? Well, they're not. You brought the shit upon yourself. You put the shit out there. You're the one that made the falsehood in the very beginning. You sounded like a total ass. And now you're trying to backpedal because somebody's calling your ass out and trying to correct the wrong. There's that Dunning-Kruger again. Just because you don't believe the way another believes doesn't mean that you should lose all respect for that individual. Because there's good in everybody. You can take the worst of the worst in this world, and I'm sure you will find a small filament of good in everybody. Hell, it may be something as simple as you both like sweet peas on your mashed potatoes. I like mixing my taters and peas up. I see a convicted criminal of the worst kind mixing his peas and taters up, it's going to make me smile. I'm sorry, that's just how I am. But it's something that silly and cynical that will project goodness in someone. Well, you're responding to my my master cylinder a while ago, and she, excuse me. Well, Sunstein went on to his third mechanism of this breakdown of all this and titled it Social Influence Information Exchange. Social influence information exchange. He described the third mechanism by which false rumors are propagated as group polarization. He cited studies in which individuals deliberating on a given political subject with like-minded groups tended to shift toward greater extremism. Again, in these experiments, the social interaction overrode the individual's process of objective consideration. He proposed these three standard explanations for his behavior. The first one was corroboration, where most people start out tentative about facts, simply because they lack information. After affirmation from others, however, they become more confident. The second part is exchange of information. In any group with hold on, I'm tongue-tied and parched. So, with the exchange of information in any group with an antecedent position, most evidence will tend to support that position. Okay, I see this. So, somebody tells me that it's raining outside. I go look, it's actually raining outside. Hey, it's raining outside. And then another group comes in and says, that's acid rain. That's not real rain. And I'm like, it's freaking wet. I know it to be rain. It's rain. And then you have a concern for reputation. So people want to be held in esteem and thus don't want to be seen as more skeptical than the rest of the group. So they adopt the strength of conviction of their peers. Well, this is when you start breaking yourself down because somebody else is trying to convince you that they want you to believe that that's the way it is to believe, and that's the only way it is to believe. Now we fall under what I covered a while back on cult-related matters, gang stalking techniques. It all falls together. All of the scams, all this mess, it all connects together. So focusing on false rumor propagation, Sunstein voiced two concerns unaddressed by these explanations. First, people tend to be unaware of the bias of the groups in which they are participants of. Whew, that is a mouthful, but that is so true. We do tend to be unaware of the bias of groups in which we get a blind following. Exactly. Thanks, Carol. I'll see you later, hon. Yeah, blind following is exactly what that means. And then second, individuals discount the importance of the ideologically minded people to willfully mislead. They underestimate people's intelligence. They want to dumb you down. And as he explained, it's underestimated the extent to which, with respect to certain rumors, there's a self-interested or ideologically motivated mover who is starting the information process. Wow, this sounds like an investigation, doesn't it? We got to get back to square one before we can start coloring in the squares to know. It's like playing a game of Twister. That's exactly how my mind works when I looked at this information. I've got 14 blue circles, 18 green circles, and now I got to see if I can't put the pattern to the game and eliminate what's left to make the complete board game. Y'all just have to know how my brain works. And sometimes it's scary. So, connecting all of these behavioral observations to issues such as freedom of speech, Sunstein discussed certain Supreme Court decisions. There's a lot of S's in this. Using the example of a case centered on a newspaper's publication on the name of a rape victim, he noted the court's reliance on the argument that if a fact is already in the public domain, then wide publication of that fact should always be protected. Okay, I get it. You need to protect the victim. I get it. You don't want to re-victimize them. I get it. The Privacy Act. I get it. About time you got in here. You done missed half the show. I'm just teasing you, Petey. I love you, sweetheart. So with the issues of freedom of speech and protecting victims, he stated the fact that he noted the court's reliance on the argument that if a fact is already in the public domain, then wide publication of that fact should always be protected. But this sort of publication can cause irreparable damage, which might prompt a more nuanced application of law. You're fine. I'm just teasing you. So, raising a more recent phenomenon, YouTube. Ooh, hits home, don't it? With YouTube being such a recent phenomenon, Sunstein warned of the dangers of turning every citizen into their own Truman Show. Has anybody ever watched The Truman Show? If you haven't, please do. In which this sounds perverted. I'm just going to write it in chat. Anyway, in which I can't say this word. Why is it not calculating with me? And I'm only pretty good at pronunciations. Minutiae of everyday life is broadcast to the world. Okay, so I get it. So, turning every citizen into their own Truman Show and going on about your everyday life and how you get into these routine patterns and everybody knows how you are. That's just like, okay, I'm gonna put a couple people on the spot. I know every morning that I'm not going to call a certain friend before a certain time. But then I got another friend that she waits till about a certain time before she calls me because we just got that kind of respect for each other. But we'll send texts and messages all throughout the day and night. That's just how we are. And we're all like that. We've got certain ones. Well, no, it's after 9 o'clock. I'm not going to call them. I don't want to wake them up. Here, I'll just text them instead. And hopefully if they wake up, they'll see it. Yeah. That right there, that's, you know, and I'm really thankful that I've made a lot of friends from YouTube and I can call them friends. But there's a few of them out there. I'm like, it's like going to Walmart and you're in the produce aisle and you see them walking in the door and they're heading to the produce aisle and you go over to this other side of the building to the dog food. Sorry, that's just how some of them are. So in this world, he quoted, "A life is not an incident or an event, but a series of them." He explained, a fact which is lost when incidents are broadcasted over the internet or other media without context, that sometimes the isolated segment or event will have a kind of defining character in a way that will be extremely destructive, not only to the individual involved, but also to people trying to make rational judgments about the relevant person. I do not try to hide. I can't hide. I get it. We see it all the time. You know, we all going, I've got 4 viewers watching, but the ones that are staying with me, y'all know exactly what I'm coming from. There's creators that when we say they're live, we only go in there because of what their show title is. Or what subs may be in there. I do it all the time. If I see some of my favorite subs and I like the way they comment. I like the way they cut up. I like the way they talk. I like the intelligence that they put behind some of the comments that they make. I mean, shoot, you may go over to Creator Air Conditioner's channel in the morning and you see all of you YouTube sub buds in there. And then 2 hours later, you may go over to Chalkboard Central's channel and you'll see about 15 or 20 favorite sub buds over there. And then you may go over here to, I don't know, I need a channel name. Crocodile Road. And yes, I said crocodile because I looked at my wall clock. And you may see everybody over there, but then from earlier, all these subs are getting along. They're laughing. They're cutting up. They're sharing comments. They're sharing opinions. But you go over here to this other channel, and then they're tearing each other apart. It's like a feeding frenzy. Why? Why? I get the secret identity stuff. I get it. But why? Why? Because one or two subs or moderators or on somebody's chat that earlier you were eating them up and kissing their ass, and now you're talking smack about them? Huh? That's childish. That's not adult behavior at all. So Sunstein quoted Felix Frankfurter. I can't help it. I'm trying really hard not to laugh. So Sunstein quoted Felix Frankfurter as saying, freedom of the press is not an end in itself, but a means to the end of achieving a free society. Freedom of the press is not an end in itself, but a means to the end of achieving a free society. I get it. I get it. Why try to dictate? If you go and you try to dictate a viewer's mindset, opinion, and intelligence, all because you're trying to win a popularity contest, what's your content really based on? Have you become so greedy with selfishness and so greedy with the sight of a dollar sign that you start ignoring your own humanity and your own humanitarian needs? You know, I've got my Cash App up. Not trying to be greedy. I've got my Cash App up. But it's your choice. It's your choice if you want to donate to anybody. It's your choice if you want to donate to any cause. Don't let a creator dictate who and what you donate to. Because prayer goes a long way. But going back to the study on how this false information tears down society, and him using YouTube as one of his focals, after he went on to state that the freedom of press is causing an end in having a free society, he offered up some examples in which uninhibited press freedom leads to the destruction of other freedoms. He proposed a reconsideration for the idea of the chilling effect. Not about you, but it does. It's unnerving. It's unnerving. It's unnerving to see someone. I tell you what's really unnerving. What's unnerving is you seeing someone being torn down and humiliated, and then you find out that they were only a puppet for something else. You see and hear somebody go on and talk about something that they need, something that they want, or a way they've been mistreated. And then a few days later, you find out that they were a puppet for another person or another group. I'm not a puppet. Don't be a puppet. Maintain your sanity. Maintain your integrity. Maintain your free will. He goes on to say in this article that many First Amendment questions in a domain were resolved by reference to the chilling effect concern. And indeed, it has become quite clear that references to the chilling effect have had a serious chilling effect on engagement with the constitutional question. The question shouldn't be whether there's a chilling effect or how to avoid it, but how to achieve the optimal chilling effect. Zero chilling effect in the light of mechanisms just described would be profoundly destructive to a host of relevant variables. I know to some this is going to sound like a lot of gibberish, but after witnessing what all I've talked about, it makes sense. It's psychology. It's sociology. These social media platforms, oh yeah, they're very informative. They're very educational. They're very entertaining. Just be careful. Just be careful and be knowledgeable and do some research. Don't fall victim to everything. Because these fools out here, they're intentionally targeting people to destroy them. Now, I wanted to go ahead and talk about some other stuff. Well, I found the one thing that I was looking for in my notes. I'm talking about hypocrisy. There's a lot of hypocrisy going on. And everybody should know what hypocrisy means. It's not a hippopotamus named Chrissy either. Hypocrisy is the practice of claiming to have moral standards or belief to which one's own behavior does not conform. It's okay to be a hypocrite. Like I said, hypocrisy is not a hippopotamus named Chrissy. But you don't have to be a continuous jackass named Jennifer either. Lord knows I have said some things and done some things that was very hypocritical. And I'm probably going to continue to do it. But that's when you have a group within society that you can turn to say, hey, that's hypocritical. And I'll say, oh yeah? Well, how? Because that's the way I feel about it. But you said this the other way a while ago. Well, oh yeah? Well, I'm talking about tomatoes now, not potatoes. What's the difference? Guess what? I just made myself an ass. But we learn from each other. We learn from each other, and we support each other, and we do it healthy, and we do it productively, and we do it with real genuinism. Genuinism. Is that a word? All right. How long have I been running, y'all? Can you give me an idea? Because I can't see it. I want to save some of this information that I had for probably tomorrow, day after. Because Friday we have a very special event coming up that I've been asked to attend. I would like for you to go to my community tab. Thank you, Flies. I would like for y'all to go to my community tab because some of the topics that have been brought up on some of the other channels that I do enjoy watching and I do enjoy supporting, regardless of some of the shit that goes on in there, I still respect a lot of them's content. I respect a lot of them's opinion. Just because you don't You don't have to lay down with somebody to like them. That's all I got to say about that. And you don't have to like eating the same bullshit that's dished on your plate to like somebody. I ain't like it. If I like you, I like you until I don't like you. And after a little bit, I might start liking you again. Depends on my mood. That's my human part of me. Like I said, there's people right now, they can talk shit about me all day long. I don't care. Not that I don't care. I really don't care. Because if I know they're lying on me and I know the truth of it, the joke's going to be on them. And if I share my intentions with some of my closest friends and family, I'm doing what I do, I'm going about how to do what I'm doing, and they understand what I'm doing, it's, I don't know. That's what it's about. Find that niche. Find that group. All right. I do it every day. I do. I do it every day. That's why I say I may be an ordained minister, but I ain't no preacher. I ain't cuss like a sailor. I will, but I try not to take the Lord's name in vain. That's just one of my golden rules. And I try not to be disrespectful to anybody else's gods and who they worship or what they worship. That's their choice. That's their beliefs, and I'm going to respect it unless it's going to cause harm to another. And if it's going to cause harm to another, I might say something. That's just me, though. All right. Anybody got any special something that y'all want me to say or do anything before we cut out of here? I'm going to probably give it about 15, 20 more minutes. We can have a little bit of fun, and if it sounds too bad, I can just trim it out. But I appreciate everybody coming in today to hear me go on about this. That was just something that's been weighing heavy on me for a few days now, on all this mess going on and what's being brought out, what's making the news, what's trying to make the news. Well, thank you, not today. You know, you do a lot of good. Every one of you in chat right now, y'all do a lot of good things. Don't let somebody tear you down. And don't let them manipulate you. Just take a break. If somebody that you enjoy watching and viewing and listening to, and you go in today and everything's just fine and dandy, and then you go in tomorrow and it just seems a little crossways, turn around and go back. Take a break from it. Because you don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what's been presented to them. You don't know what's been brought to their attention. You don't have a clue. You don't know what I'm dealing with. I don't know what you're dealing with. Just like, okay, she's having a bad day. Oh, she must be talking about, yep, got that. Well, I got my opinion of it. Well, I got a whole bunch of opinions of it. Well, let's go over to this chat and let's see what they're talking about. Hey, they're talking the same thing, talking about what we've been thinking the whole time. Let's get in there. Oh, you just found your little support niche. Get in there. You have got just as much right to voice your opinion as anybody else did. And if they don't like your opinion, bye. But if they are not willing to give you an opportunity to voice your opinion, then bye. I've dropped a link if somebody wants to come up and talk. I'll give you another link. Okay, I've got dead air going on. Somebody say something to me. All right. Well, I always try to end my show with some music. Does anybody have a request? I'm good. I'm good. Well, thank you. Where'd Petey go? Oh, there you are. I can't. I said, where'd Petey go? And you said, hello. Oh my gosh. Why do you have your elbows covered in tomatoes? Tawanda! Are you making homemade marinara flies? What you cooking, Petey? All right. Well, I'm going to end, since we're coming into the Christmas season, I'm going to end the show with one of my favorite songs. And I will see y'all later. Thank you each and thank you. Thanks. They are silly. Thanks to each and every one of you coming tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you supporting me. God bless. Lots of love. Prayers for those who are in need. Let me share my screen. You're hungry hostages? So we have a hostage situation.
Heard there was a secret chord David played and it seems but you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like fourth-fifth, the eyes and the majors, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty and the hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. There's a God above, and all I've ever learned from love is how to shoot somebody who I truly am. And the start can't you hear it now? It's not the sing it now. It's cold, it's a broken hallelujah.
On a time in a far off land, wise men saw a sign set across the sand. Good night, everyone.